This is just a test to see if the microphone is on the right setting and I look okay and there's nothing embarrassing on show behind me. Okie dokie. Hi guys, welcome back to All I Know About Depop. I wanted to start the year with a series of videos that go into detail about what I would do if I was starting from zero again this year, and my New Year's resolution was to create a profitable Depop shop. This is actually going to be a 4-week series that focuses on the very start of growing a Depop shop. I'm going to be doing one video a week, and each video will focus on 1 week's worth of work. So hopefully by the last video you will have a helpful action plan on what to get up to on your first month on Depop. In my hypothetical world, I have a whole month that I can dedicate to Depop, but I imagine for most people you only have a few hours or maybe a few days per week that you can dedicate. So if that's the case, just stretch out the timeline in these videos to make it suit your schedule. Okay, that is my introduction. Let's crack on with week 1. Okay, day 1 on the job. I think the best action for this week is to get us set up on the app, have a vague plan on what direction we want the shop to go into, and then we're gonna go and get our first lot of stock. So, bit of a fun week ahead. So the first thing to do is get set up on the app, but you actually need to give them a name. So before that, you're gonna have to think up of a name for your shop. To be honest, I wouldn't spend hours worrying about the name. I don't think it matters too much. And you can change it later if you do end up hating it. Although I think the only way that you can change it is through the Depop team, so it is a little bit of a faff. What I would suggest is going for something that is easy to spell and easy to remember. I would avoid using words that put your shop in a box, for example, like Moonlight Jewelry or like Taylor's shirts. Unless you're 100% sure that that is all you're gonna sell, I wouldn't make that call this early because it can be quite limiting later on. Make sure once you've thought of one, you Google it to see if there's anything else similar out there. I would make sure there's no shops that have the same name. I would make sure there's no big companies that might confuse people down the line. Ideally, if there's not that much coming up on Google, that's a good sign that in the future when a buyer might Google the name of your shop, yours will be one of the top results. So that is a good sign. So once you've got your name ready to go, it's time to set up your account. So obviously download the app. To sign up, you need to input your date of birth, your phone number so you can verify your account, and then you add your username. I've signed up via Google here. You can also sign up with Facebook and Apple, or just by email, but obviously you will need some kind of email to get set up. An important thing to add actually is that the username has to be unique. So you have to have a shop name that nobody else has on Depop. So when you're considering your name, it might be worth getting this far along in the setup and seeing if it's actually free to take. Pretty simple setup. From there, you should have an empty shop and be ready to get going. So you have this icon here where you need to add a picture for your shop. I think there's 2 ways to go about this. You can either add a cool aesthetic photo that sums up your shop, or you can create a shop logo. You can change your Depop photo through the Depop app, so it's really quick and easy to change. So it doesn't have to be perfect at first. If you're planning on doing a logo, I definitely wouldn't hire anyone to do it. I did my logo on Microsoft Word because I didn't know any other better way to create a logo. If I was to make one now, I'd probably use Canva. Canva is a free, very easy to use website and app. It's what I use to create the title graphics in these videos. If you open the app, they have a logo section and they have lots of free templates to use. I would advise if you do use a template, you make a real effort to make it your own. Canva is pretty popular. It'll be likely that a lot of people have used the same template as you. So what I like to do is make sure I change the fonts, maybe the spacing, change the colours, and just use the template as a bit of a starting idea. This way you're much less likely to spot another business that has the exact same logo as you do. You can then save the photo and it will get saved to your camera roll, and then you can upload it to Depop. Remember that Depop's photo is a circle, so make sure you've got enough dead space so when you get on the app you can zoom in and put it in the right place. Also in the settings, I would make sure you change your name. It might have already automatically filled in your real name here, but I would change it to whatever your shop's called. Then you can fill in your bio. Again, this is something you can change super easily, so you'll probably update it loads as your shop grows. But at the start, it's important to have your dispatch time, which is how long it takes you to ship the item once it is sold, and your shipping costs. So are you doing free shipping, or do you have a standard price set for shipping? Shipping costs and all those details are probably best for another video. I'm not going to cover them today. But the majority of UK Depop shops will ship with Royal Mail, so you can go to their website and check out their pricing. You can ship most items untracked for £3 or less. So you'll find a lot of set shipping prices on Depop to be around £3. So you can use that as a bit of a starting figure and then figure it out as you go. I would probably go for free shipping at the beginning. I think buyers tend to prefer this, and there's also a filter on the Depop search, so showing up there could be really helpful at the start. Another thing that I would include in the bio is a bit of an overview of what your shop is about. We'll talk more about this in the next bit, but something that suggests what your style is or the things that you are gonna sell. Also, I think it's a nice touch to openly mention that you're a new shop and you're just starting out. I think this will help potential buyers know that you are in the beginning stage, and that explains why you don't have that many sales yet or reviews, but you are taking Depop seriously, so they'll be more likely to trust you. So for example, a bio is something like this: new Depop shop for fresh streetwear, dispatch time within 3 days, free shipping. Or something like growing a Y2K Depop shop, 1 to 2 day dispatch time and free shipping on everything. Okay, so that's the basic admin done for now. This shouldn't take too long. If you find that you can't think of a name or you can't create the perfect logo, you're gonna have to stick with the best you have and move on. The name and the logo are not the things that are gonna make you money, so do not get stuck at this stage. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be something. So at this early planning stage in your shop, there's 2 things you need to figure out. 1, what are the items that you're going to sell? And 2, where and how are you going to shoot your items? With what sort of items are you going to sell is an important question to answer now, because the next step is to go out and start buying stock. So it's good to know exactly what you're looking for. I would keep this all very broad, because it might be that you have like a very specific theme or niche for your shop, but when you go out sourcing, you actually find it's very hard to pick up pieces like that. These are the questions that I would think about at this stage. Do I want to sell to men or women, or men and women? And what sort of niche am I looking to go into? So think, am I going to do vintage? Am I going to do streetwear? Am I interested in noughties clothing? I do think that shops that have a niche or a theme tend to be more successful. But if you're not sure at the minute, I would just keep it super broad and find out later on what's easy to source, what you enjoy listing, and then you can niche down later. Keep in mind that overall, items that are modelled on do tend to sell better. So it might be best to go for items that you know you can model well. I find that when I sell men's clothes, they are normally brought by women, because I guess they can visualize themselves in it when I'm wearing it. So if I wanted to sell men's clothes to men, I'd probably be best getting a male model or doing like flat lays. Or to be honest, I might just be better off selling men's clothes to women. Which leads us to the next thing that we need to figure out: how and where are we going to take our photos? So I'm going to assume you have the basics, which are a phone, a window, and some kind of blank wall or a bed sheet that you can pin up. If you have like a genuinely attractive background, like a edgy looking bookcase or like a feature wall, I don't know who has a feature wall in their house, but if you do, I would make use of these. If you can get it to look good, these could actually really help make your shop stand out later down the line. If not, then a plain wall is your best bet. It's best to shoot between 12 and 2 when you're using natural light, so make sure the place you have in mind is free for you to use at that time. Light is the most important part of making the photos look good, so if you have one window that has really amazing natural light, I would try and use that window and see how you can build a backdrop that faces that. You're also going to want to think about how you're going to prop up your phone to take the photos. A good shout is using a chair to prop up the phone and shooting up at yourself. That tends to be like really flattering as well, shooting from below. Back in the day, I used to use a drying rack with a book on top of it to create a shelf, and then I'd have another book that my little iPod Touch would like balance against, and then I would do my photos with that in front of me. So I would come up with a loose idea of where you're gonna shoot your first lot of stock and see if you need to get anything sorted before the shoot day. So when you do start taking your photos, you're not completely overwhelmed and you have a basic plan of what's gonna happen and where you're gonna take them. So in my hypothetical week of starting a Depop shop, it's probably the end of day 2. We've done our admin, we've done some basic planning of the shop's direction. For the rest of the week, the focus is gonna be on getting together some clothes. But I am going to split this video into 2 because I don't want it to be too long. So this is the end of week 1, part 1. Part 2 is going to be the next video, so stay tuned for that. Meanwhile, you can check out these and I'll be right back with part 2. See you next time.